Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. I'm your mayor, Chewy Plays Nintendo, joined by my co-mayor, Sergio. Today, we talk about cloud backups on the Nintendo Switch Online service, and our Discord members' thoughts on Nintendo Switch Online. And finally, we will also talk about the upcoming Nintendo Direct. So to start, hello everyone, welcome to our live show. Hello Sergio, how are you doing?
Hello, Chuy. I'm doing great. Hello, everybody listening live and also recorded.
Yeah, always fun to have everybody. A week from tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary for Haken. So
That's right.
Yeah, I've been doing the show for almost a year now, just about. I can't believe it's been that long already. So we're gonna have a very special show planned out for next week. We'll get plenty. I'll kind of talk about this at the end of the show because I didn't really mention it in the intro, but we're going to ask people to send in some, I guess, letters. Not really letters, but it makes sense to say letters because we're an Animal Crossing podcast.
Right.
But yeah, send us a little message about the show, what you think about Animal Crossing, anything. It's going to be pretty open. I'm excited for people to be hearing just a 1-year anniversary kind of thing. So it should be fun. So let's actually get into the topics for today. And the first one we're going to talk about, because Sergio and I were talking about this a lot, there are no cloud save backups for some pretty huge Nintendo Switch games, both existing and upcoming. Two in particular that are pretty, I guess it's going to be a big deal for people who play both of these games. I know it's a big deal for me.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, let's talk about the past week has had a lot of crazy information since the delayed Nintendo Direct. We've gotten bits and pieces of things that have been either leaked or just some other people decided to drop some news.
Right.
And so one big thing that kind of came to people's attention this past week was when they were looking at descriptions for some Nintendo games, there were some specific ones that said that it would not support cloud backups. And the two that were the biggest, in my opinion, were Splatoon 2 and Pokemon Let's Go. How are you feeling about that, Sergio?
No, right from the right from the get-go, very upsetting. These games are huge and huge time investments, and to not have the ability to back up your saves when the majority of the games are gonna have it, it's definitely frustrating, especially because these games demand so much time and we put it in, happily because we know we're safe and we were all thinking there was going to be a way to back up our saves, which there should be. But just very frustrating, especially, like you said, for these two games.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've put in over 500 hours of Splatoon 2, and funny enough, I look at I like to look at people's play time and stuff. Usually when I just get onto my Switch, I'm like, oh, who's online? Who's playing now? What have they been playing? I like to look at that kind of thing. It's a little bit stalkery, but whatever. Now you all know my secret. I'm always just looking at what you're playing. But yeah, so I looked at yours and I'm like, dude, Sergio, you still have more hours on Splatoon 2 than I do. And I still play it pretty regularly. But let's say a little bit more about this. So this message was found on not only these two games, but some other games, including NBA 2K19. I was going to say 18. FIFA 2019. Both of these games are upcoming. And then the other two that people found this message on was Dead Cells and Dark Souls Remastered. So Dead Cells is already out. Dark Souls still on the way, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They have a date for it finally, but
yeah, I think it's sometime in October.
Yeah, it took a long time for them to give us a date for that game.
Right.
Regardless, but it's the number of games that aren't going to have cloud backups are just stacking up more and more. And I just find it so unfortunate. What do you think about these games not having cloud backups?
It's unfortunate. I think that's a perfect word to describe it. All of these games, even the third-party ones, I guess the only one that doesn't really count would be Dead Cells. That doesn't seem like a really a game that takes a lot of hours to fully invest yourself in. But the others are major games. You know, people that get FIFA, NBA, they get them to play them for years and years and invest a lot of hours. And it's not fair, I would say, to not be able to back up your saves. It also brings up a lot of questions. You know, if FIFA 19 is not allowed to back up saves, what about FIFA 18? You know, we have that one, and that one was not listed. So, it's just a lot of questions come up. How do the third parties, how do these specific games get selected? You know?
Yeah, and I've got to say, for me personally, I recently had a problem with my Switch. A bit of a hardware issue. My fan on the Switch is broken. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know exactly what's going on with it. All I know is almost a year ago, it started kind of making a loud noise on me. It seemed like it was running a lot harder than it should be.
Right.
And over the past year, it's gradually gotten worse, but
Mm.
last week it finally got to the point where my Switch overheated on me. It just popped up a little message. It said, the Switch is overheating. I'm powering down because I'm gonna
Oh wow.
die. It wasn't that dramatic. That's not a word for word thing that it said, but it felt like it. I was
Right.
surprised. I was like,
Right.
oh, great. But I'm in the middle of Splatoon 2 practice with my team, right? And then I
Hmm.
was like, hey, I'm gonna have to like leave practice now because my Switch is dead.
Right.
So yeah, it shut down. It's overheating, and so I know it happened last week, and my first thought was, okay, well, I guess I can take this month off on Splatoon 2, just because I don't know. I'm taking the month off and I'm going to wait for cloud saves essentially.
Right.
Because my
Right.
thinking was, oh, once I've got cloud saves, I can keep my 500 plus hours of gameplay and data that I have dedicated to that game, you know?
Right.
Um, but now I'm finding out that the main reason I wanted to wait to send my Switch in it's not even going to matter.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah,
I'm
go for
curious
it.
though. Did when it overheated, was that in portable mode or in dock?
It was docked, and it only gets. I think the worst game for my Switch is Splatoon 2
Hmm.
specifically.
Okay.
That one tends to make the Switch kind of run a lot more,
Right.
and so it heats up a lot more. Um, but yeah, it was docked at the time. I don't play Splatoon 2 undocked at all, mostly because,
Okay.
like I said, I play competitively and I'm connected to a LAN adapter.
Oh yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I guess let me tell you all the statement that Nintendo has put out because, you know, of course, a lot of gaming outlets have reached out and asked questions about this very thing. And what Nintendo had to say was the vast majority of Nintendo Switch games will support Save Data Cloud Backup. I guess that's the official thing they're calling it. However, in certain games, this feature would not, or this feature would make it possible to, for example, regain items that had been traded to other players or revert to a higher online multiplayer ranking that had been lost. To ensure fair play, Save Data Cloud Backup may not be enabled for such games. To ensure that Save Data Cloud backups cannot be used to unfairly affect online multiplayer rankings, the feature will not be enabled in Splatoon 2.
Mm.
So essentially, their message is saying games where you can go back to a previous save that puts you at an advantage, that is going to, I guess, be a problem with the cloud backups.
Right.
And it's just so unfortunate because already I'm foreseeing them not giving us backups for Animal Crossing.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's such a bummer because that, of course, is a game where you are playing with other people, you are trading items, and say you have the cardboard series, right?
Hmm.
And this series, you make a cloud save before you go and visit somebody's town, and then you give them your cardboard series, and because it's not a series you can order again, and it's really hard to get a hold of, you just turn off your game, or you let them save so they can
Mm.
have the items, and then you revert back to that cloud save and keep the cardboard furniture, you
Right,
know?
right.
So already I see that being an issue with Nintendo. And I'm like, you guys, bottom line is it's a game. If people want to cheat, they're going to find a way to cheat, you know?
True.
Like, I don't know. I guess part of it is like they're trying to stop something that I feel is going to be inevitable. I think
Mm.
people are still going to find ways to duplicate items. I mean, Pokemon, for example, that's another one where you can trade somebody one Pokemon and then revert to a cloud save and still have that Pokemon.
Right,
So
right.
then you have tons of legendaries around, like tons of event Pokemon that were, pretty hard for people to get a hold of, right?
Yes.
And the problem is like there every single Pokemon game, there's been a way to duplicate your Pokemon.
Right, right.
They've never stopped it, and I don't know. I guess they're trying to hinder an easier way to do it, but I think for the people who want to do that, they're going to do it, and the people who don't do that, they're not going to do it.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's just the easy way for them to try to prevent cheating. I think there might be other more difficult ways to program anti-cheat that doesn't involve save files, but maybe they made this decision way back and there's really no easy way for them to revert it back, and the anti-cheat depends on the save files. And I think of course that was a mistake from the get-go, and they're just not willing to put the time, the effort, maybe the money to prevent this and to leave saves out of it, so we were able to back them up safely for our own use only, for as a backup, just for safety. We by preventing cheating, they are affecting the people that just want some safety and they don't really care or are not even planning to cheat. So they're affecting everybody.
Yeah, and it's really a bummer because, all of us, of course, listening to this podcast, and both you and I, like, we're big Animal Crossing fans. We're going to spend a lot of time with the game. And to know that, if your Switch were to get irreparably damaged or stolen, that all that time that you invested into Animal Crossing is gone. It's
Right.
just, say it's been a year and you've made all this progress on your town. You're about to finish maybe the museum or something,
Mhm.
and then your Switch is gone like that. It's all the progress is. It just it gives me anxiety thinking about it
Yes.
already.
Yes, yes,
um,
it's horrible. The 3DS was pretty good, I would say. I never really had any issues. When I'm thinking how many times I transferred between, different colors or different editions of the system. It must have been about 5 or 6 times, and I never really had an issue. That being said, in an episode back, I did mention a story of somebody that lost a 300-hour Animal Crossing New Leaf file when they were doing a system transfer. And they were
mm,
following the instructions. Nintendo is very adamant about giving you the proper instructions. And even if you follow them, there's a possibility that you might lose your save file only because, like we said, in New Leaf, you weren't able to back them up. It was one of the very few 3DS games that didn't allow it. And unfortunately, it's sounding like Animal Crossing on the Switch might suffer the same fate. And I mean, when you get down to it, it's really not fair.
yeah, it's really too bad. I know, just as an example, my brother, he when New Leaf came out, he downloaded it that night it came out, right?
Yes.
And I remember I was so excited. I was waiting for it to be morning so I could go to GameStop, pick up my copy. But anyways, he downloaded it, and I was like, can I play for a little bit? I just want to, I need to see this in my hands. It can't not be in my life anymore. But anyways, his very first town that he got, he had a corrupted save data. And
Oh,
so all of it was gone right away. And after that, like it just kind of killed it for him. Like he didn't feel as interested in playing. He kind of tried to start a new town, but he was already attached to the one that he had, and it just
Right.
didn't feel the same. Like the magic was gone.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so
It's
it's really too bad to see that. And I guess for those of you who don't know, just all our saves on anything that we play on Nintendo Switch is directly saved to the system. And that's why this is an issue. Nobody has found any way to create like a backup of the save data on there.
right.
And and so people have been, they're worried about this mostly because it is a um, well, the system is essentially both a portable and a home console, and those who use it as a portable console and take it with them, it's clearly at more risk.
Yes.
I know I just came back from a trip yesterday, and of course I had my Switch on me. I didn't play
Right.
Splatoon 2 because it overheats my system, but I did play other games, and I had a really great time. But yeah, at any point that could stop. And my system could get damaged. Accidents happen, and I'd just have to start over on everything that I've ever played.
Right, right. Even if it gets damaged or something, and if you're lucky enough to have both systems, I know Nintendo is very good with customer service, and if you're able to send them both systems, they might be able to work some magic, right? But like you said, what happens if we're using the Switch as a portable, like Nintendo likes to promote it, and we either lose it or it gets stolen? What are we supposed to do now when there's no backups? Not only that, but if people are having issues with the 3DS system transfer, honestly, I'm gonna be concerned if I ever transfer from one Switch to another. It's gonna be a concern right from the get-go. So,
Yeah, and I'm really glad you're mentioning the 3DS system transfer. I've done that before. I had one of the original DSs. I think I had it in black, and then when I
mm,
upgraded, I got a new 3DS XL.
mhm,
Luckily, everything went well, but now my first thought since hearing that backups weren't going to work on Splatoon 2 was, well, I guess I could buy a new Switch, transfer everything to that, have my backups, then send my Switch in for repairs. And then since I have two Switches now, just sell my old one to a friend for pretty cheap.
right,
And that's such a roundabout way to just ensure that my save data is going to be on a system where I'm not afraid of losing the data.
right, right.
Also, I guess a little note for everyone. Because, normally you would think, okay, you send your Switch in, you get the fan fixed. That shouldn't affect your data, right?
Mm,
Well, I will tell you that my brother had a kind of a faulty hardware Switch when it first came out. He got a
mhm,
Switch at launch, and within that first week, the fan on the Switch was doing the same thing that mine has been
mhm,
doing. And so, clearly it was just a hardware issue. He got kind of a dud of a console.
right,
He sent it in, and they didn't even replace the fan for him. They just sent him a new Switch entirely.
right.
So the Switch with all of his save data was gone. And so at that point, he, just had to start over again on everything. Um,
Right, right. That's
and
that's too bad.
yeah, he was sad to see all of his time on Zelda
Right.
be gone. Mostly because he liked seeing how long I was playing and comparing where we were. um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all gone.
so yeah, now my worry is, do I send my Switch in and risk them just sending me a new one? And then he also ran into the trouble of he still had games downloaded on that old Switch, and he had to call Nintendo support to
Ah,
allow him to re-download games.
right,
And they always give you a really hard time about it. They say, "Oh, we're only doing this once for you." And I'm like, "Are
right,
you
right,
kidding
right,
me? Like that does not say you have my Switch has, I don't know, 40 games on it, right?
right.
And say that gets stolen, um, and I get a new Switch, I say, oh, all of my games were on my stolen Switch. Can I get them back? And then they're like, okay, but we're only gonna do this once. And so I get all my games. I'm able to download them again. But then that Switch is stolen. From there, there's
Mm,
two Switches with all my games, and there's no way for me to get them back.
right, right.
That's a bummer.
Right, right. And if you think about it, the answer also doesn't make sense because not all the games that allow you to cheat basically in one way or another, a lot of games are not on the list. I'm just thinking right away, Rocket League, you're able to get special items that you can sell or trade. The game is not on the list, and if I'm able to revert back to when I had the item, I could potentially keep selling copies of it, you know? So
Hmm.
how do they explain a game like that or many other games not being on the list?
I think it's because games like Rocket League and Fortnite, both of these companies that run these games and make them, they have their own servers where everything is stored. And which brings me to wonder kind of what is going on with Splatoon 2, where
Mm,
your rank in the game is saved on your system and not in some like network that Nintendo has. That's pretty
right,
weird to me.
right, right.
Um, yeah, I do want to point out that Ruby Crimson, while we were talking a while back, she said, I think Animal Crossing wouldn't be so seriously affected because it's not a competitive game. It's a casual game, so I believe they'll probably allow it. And I'd say that's a good point because both Splatoon 2, like I said, I play that competitively, and Pokemon, that's a competitive game.
Yes.
Um, I wonder I guess now I felt like
Mm,
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee was going to be a bit more casual, at least on the casual side. But it seems like they are already thinking about, the competitive play in the
right,
game. And
right,
that's why they wouldn't want to revert cloud saves, or at least like trading rare Pokemon, you know?
right. Hmm.
Yeah, especially shinies. Oh, gotta have all those
Yes, yes.
shinies. Um, so yeah, I really wonder if they're gonna treat Animal Crossing differently just because the nature of the game isn't so competitive, but there's still a big emphasis on collecting different things and different items.
Yes, yes, and just thinking, I kind of came up with like a middle ground. Okay, so if we're not able to back up our saves as many times as we want, how about letting us do a backup per week? Maybe it does it automatically, and you're not able to use it until a week after it is done. Basically, we would just have it as safety. If we lose, let's say something happens 2 years down the line, we only lose a week's worth of playtime instead of 2 years.
Yeah, that's totally true. Um, Yeah, I like that solution. I also saw somebody on Twitter say, for Splatoon 2 specifically, they said, why not do a cloud backup after every match? Just so the last backup you have is the most recent
Mm,
data the game has on you, you
right,
know?
right.
And so I don't know. I guess we won't really know what the cloud backups are like until we're actually experiencing it. Because right now we don't know how long it's going to take, just to
Yes.
save all the information. And yeah, so I don't know if that's just not feasible because it's going to take a while to create your cloud backup. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
it might.
I don't know. I'm interested. I really wonder if they're going to talk about it in the Nintendo Direct. I feel like they have to.
Mm,
35 minutes is a lot of time.
yes.
But yeah, it got delayed and we still don't know.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I guess what are you thinking? Do you think this means Animal Crossing Switch could possibly suffer from this, or do you think they're going to, give us some backups?
I mean, I'm hopeful. There's always hope, but just going by the fact that New Leaf didn't allow it, I'm just expecting them to not allow it this time, unless they do come up with like a sort of middle ground solution, like you can back up maybe every week, maybe every month even. Just give us a way to not lose years of progress. That would be devastating. And it's surprising that the game developers themselves either don't see it or they don't see it enough to care to prevent it. You would think they know how invested we get into these games. They may want to help us out.
Yeah, it's really too bad. I think the reasons they've described to me sound unfortunate just because I feel like Animal Crossing could possibly fit that description.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I feel like if there's enough outrage about this, they may reconsider. And I know I'm looking at the comments right now in chat, and Jeslyn just said, doesn't Pokemon have a way to figure out if a player has some hacked stuff? If so, why couldn't they have the same anti-hacking measures on
Mm.
Splatoon, uh, but still allow saves? And I think that's fair too. I think
Yes.
it's totally good. Nintendo should have some way to recognize when somebody has gotten an item in a way that is not how they intended them
Right.
to receive it.
Right.
Um, so I think as soon as they have that kind of thing in place, they'll be more open to it, especially with the competitive games. Being aware of hackers is very important, but at the same time, like I'm pretty tied into the Splatoon community, and for a while, there were a lot of complaints about cheating
Yes.
online.
Right.
And one of the examples was somebody hacked the game and gave themselves a score that made them number one in every ranking.
Hmm.
And I think they named themselves "Please add anti-cheat" or
Right.
something.
Right.
And so yeah, they made themselves was very loud in that moment and showed Nintendo like this is what people can do
Right.
with your system and you're not doing anything to stop it. And so I think that's where they have to get to, where they get to the point where
Hmm.
they can recognize when people are cheating and just not allow them to compete in the way the other people compete.
Right. Right.
Yep. So it should be, I don't know. I'm pretty interested to see what it is. At first I didn't believe the news. I was like,
Hmm.
no, you're kidding me. The one game I
Yes.
want to back up and send my Switch in for is the one you're not letting me to.
Right.
So
Uh,
I panicked. I was like, that can't be real. And then I saw legitimate sources come out and have a response from Nintendo about that. And I was
right.
like, oh
Right.
no, this is bad. Yeah, so the next thing I want to get into, actually, before we hop on, was there anything else you wanted to say about the backups?
No, it's just unfortunate, and let's just be hopeful. But it's more. It seems like it's gonna be more. We just have to wait for it and kind of be ready for some disappointment.
Yeah, I don't want to be disappointed, Nintendo. Give us, but at the same time, I think just the excitement of Animal Crossing coming, I would forgive anything. So it's fine, I guess. So yeah, let's move on to our next little topic. We've got thoughts from our Discord on Nintendo Switch Online. So last week I talked, or both of us talked, a lot about Nintendo Switch Online and what we know and what little we don't know,
Right.
or what little it is that we know. So in Discord this morning, I asked 3 questions to our Discord audience for tonight's live show. And the questions were, are you getting Nintendo Switch Online? What do you think of Nintendo charging for online? And what online features do you want to see in Animal Crossing Switch? And while I say that, anybody who is listening who hasn't answered, please answer the first one. Are you getting Nintendo Switch Online? We'll read those answers as they, I guess, a little after they come in because we're going to read some of the answers that we received.
Mhm.
So do you want to read the first one? I think Mayor Jiro
Yes.
is here. Yeah.
So his answer to the question, are you getting it? He said, I will get it as soon as I feel that I need it. I don't really have online games I play much. I don't really even play Splatoon anymore. I think that makes sense. Not every. It's you're not playing online games all the time, and if you don't see the need for it, it's cool that it's kind of monthly base or just 1 year base, so you can decide if you want to give it a try for a month or a couple of months. But if you're not playing online still, yeah, perfectly fine answer.
Yeah, and it's good also that I'm pretty sure Mayor Jiro has a Switch already, and because they're talking about games they don't play anymore, like Splatoon, for example. And so I'm sure he's coming from the perspective of like he knows how much he plays online.
Right.
And so it's good for people to know that and recognize like, oh, maybe I don't need to pay for this because I don't really use it.
Right. Right.
And some of the other features might not sell you on it. So yeah, I think that's understandable.
Right. Hmm. So for the second question, what do you think of Nintendo charging for online? Major Giro answered, I love how Nintendo has always had free internet. If they wanted us to pay for it, I would expect them to have dedicated servers, which it sounds like they don't. And that's true, it sounds like they don't. And it's a little disappointing, but at the same time, we're keeping in mind the price that we're paying, at least compared to the other companies. So it seems like Nintendo just wants to try something different.
Yeah, and I think I heard somebody in conversation, I forget what video I was watching, but somebody said, we're talking about Nintendo, the company that sells cardboard for $70. If they felt they were offering more, they would charge us more for sure. And, we talked about this last week, and I was like, I wouldn't mind there being tiers to this service.
Yes.
And, this basic tier, the $20 tier, I think it's a fair price for it. Mostly because I know I play online a lot. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a necessity. But, the little extra things on top of that, I feel are a good bonus for me paying into that.
Yes.
Of course, if there were a $60 tier that promised me or promised us that we were getting, GameCube Virtual Console through, all of the virtual consoles, I would want that immediately. Like, $60 a year, take my money. You've already got it.
Right. Or let us back up every game, no matter what.
Yeah. So, but I think it's totally fair to look at it like from the perspective of Nintendo has done free online gaming forever,
yes.
Like until this point. And so it's a big change for people. I think it's going to take some time for people to, I guess, get used to that or accept it. But at the same time, I mean, they don't have to.
Yes. Yeah.
They can feel whatever way they want about it.
Right. That's a good point. And Major Giro's answer to the last question, what online features do you want to see in Animal Crossing Switch? He answers, an online city area where players can interact and trade items/designs. I think that's perfect. That's simple. Sometimes we focus on bigger things. We want to be able to do this and that, but even if we're just able to trade items in designs, I'm good with that. Sounds perfect.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm totally into that. But when I think of like going to the city, I think, of course, city folk. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh, you can fill it with all these really cool shops. And maybe there's like different people, merchants and stuff who are selling on this promenade or something every day.
Oh.
And you have to go and see all this. I turn it bigger than it needs to be. But these ideas are, they'd be so much fun.
Yes.
Like it'd be so cool to go to the city and see other players there. And not only that, but like some unique items and stuff that you can get.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm realizing right now that my arms are in the air a lot more than usual today as I say everything. Yeah, I guess I'll go over Ben Samsey's answers for all of these things. For the first question, will you buy it? He said, yeah. I want the Nintendo Classics. I love the NES game. And also, what would I do without Splatoon 2 online?
Right.
I can relate. I'm definitely getting it. I don't know why people want more info when Nintendo has said what they've got. Some of them even have added online features too. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty strange to me that Nintendo hasn't said more at this point. And I think we're just like, that's what we're getting, everybody.
Right.
Maybe it's time to accept that that's all there is to this online service. And if there were more, I'm sure Nintendo would charge us more for it.
Yeah, and sadly, maybe that's it also for cloud backups. Whatever they said, that they said, and it's set in stone for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure it sounds like they can change or at least implement cloud backups for games at any time. So
True.
If there's enough backlash on certain games, I'm sure they would change their mind about it, you
Yes,
know?
yes.
And, even the third party companies, like if they get enough pressure
Mm,
from the audience that's playing on there, they may have to reconsider.
right, right, hopefully.
Yeah, the second answer they said, I perfectly think Nintendo charging for online is acceptable, considering what happened to Nintendo during the Wii U times. Not 100% sure, but I'm guessing it's because they were broke during the Wii U times.
Right,
So, this could very well just be like a business tactic to recover from those really low earnings during that time.
right, right. And they're doing something different, which I appreciate myself.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope more than anything, like sure we're playing for online, but I'm hoping that Nintendo is laying down a much stronger foundation for an online experience.
Mhm.
For the last answer, they said, for Animal Crossing Switch, I'd love a way to type quickly using the Nintendo Switch Online app. I love the ability to type quickly on the Animal Crossing City Folk USB keyboard. I would seriously want that feature.
Ooh,
I think that's a good point.
right.
Yeah, I think people are pretty used to texting, and, if you could text messages through your phone, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
that would be awesome.
I hadn't even thought of that option.
Right.
Yeah, and they finished off by saying, overall, I think Nintendo Switch Online will be great. I don't get why people want more when Nintendo have basically revealed everything with Nintendo Classics and the titles coming. Yeah, cool. Good thoughts.
Right.
All right, you can take on the next one. This is from Ruby Crimson.
Yes, so question number one, are you getting the service? She says, I'm not getting online service because I don't even own a Switch yet. I'm waiting for Animal Crossing to buy one, and then I probably might get it. And, that makes sense. We know a lot of people waiting still to even get the Switch. A big reason is because they're waiting on a limited edition system. Funny enough, we just got one announced for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and it looks amazing. It just paints a great future for Animal Crossing. You just know they're gonna make a great one.
Yes, and for everything that was just said, I want to say, were you listening, Nintendo? I hope somebody out there listens to this. I doubt it, but if you are, we want we want an Animal Crossing Switch console. I think people would love that. It would sell so many Switches, and in general, we want Animal Crossing Switch. That's gonna get you tons and tons of money, Nintendo. So just I'm trying to help you out.
Right. Okay, so second question, Ruby answers. I think it's something new to them, but I guess they are trying to keep up with the online market for consoles at the time. Honestly, I think it's fine. Compared to the other online services for consoles, Nintendo is actually pretty cheap, and they even have the family pack. That's true. The other companies, it's just one single subscription. There's no family pack to them. Nintendo is heavily into family gaming, so it just makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the family pack is really great. Even with friends, it could be a friendly pack. I know I'm getting a lot of friends to buy into that with me, and right away, just for you all to get an idea of what the pricing would be. So the family plan is $35, but if you have just one more friend, that already brings your online price down to I think 1750.
Hmm.
So that's already less than the 20 that it is for the year of Nintendo Switch Online. So look out there, find a friend, and at least get one other to get into this family plan with you, because that is going to be so cheap. And I
Right.
think the lowest cost, I want to say it was like $4. I don't know.
Hmm.
$2 to $4 was the lowest price if you got 8 people on
Yes.
your
Right.
family plan, which that's the whole year. I can find that in change like around my house
Right.
right
Right.
now. So that is not bad. That is not a bad price.
Right. Right. For sure.
Yep.
And Ruby Crimson gave us a fairly long paragraph of the online features that she wants in Animal Crossing Switch. We kind of did a little summary of it. Some of the features include dream addresses, the best friend, which, it sounds like a great feature, I think. Museum access, being able to see the museum of when you visit a town via a dream. That makes a lot of sense. Also, a better club tournament, something without less trolling and less awkward situations, just more refined and more easier to just go there and meet people to play the mini games. And also QR code upload, like in Happy Home Designer.
Yeah, and that totally reminded me of specifically the Happy Home Designer thing reminded me of something that I want to go over on my honorable mentions video for my 5 things videos that I've been making. There's so many great things from Happy Home Designer, and one of them is for sure the way that you're able to just upload your designs and people can find them and go to them. Like,
Right.
if I upload the house that I made for KK Slider and people search KK Slider and then they find me in the results, they can go and visit
Right.
that. And that's awesome. I think that's so cool. But it would also be very cool to see like QR codes uploaded in some way. And that would probably take away also the code that would be needed to write in.
Oh,
If you could
yes.
just download I guess a design, that would be
Right.
easy.
Right.
It'd be a good workaround that the Switch doesn't have a camera unless they start using the camera on the Joy-Con, which could be a possibility in the
Right.
future.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go into Coconut's answers. And Coconut said, I'm gonna say, heck yeah, I'm getting it. NES games, discounts, nice things for a cheap price.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I can relate to being excited about the NES games, mostly because I don't really buy the NES games on my own. I have just opted to not get them. And so this is one way for me to have access to them, but not feel like I'm paying for them outright.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, because I just, the options are out there for me, and I could buy them, but I don't, and I haven't. So, yeah, for now, I'm just going to be like, well, I'm going to play them online
Yeah.
because that's the
Yeah,
option.
they're there, right?
Yeah, and Coconut says no problem with the price. With the price a third of PlayStation and Xbox's price, I think expectations should be tempered a bit.
Mhm.
I'd say that's fair too.
Yes. Right.
This is a third of the price. Usually, people are used to paying $60 a year for that. I want to say for a long time, PlayStation was 50, but I think in the
Yes.
last year or two they raised it to 60, right?
Yes, that's right. And it's a third of the price, but we're not really getting a third of the service. I think the only issue, the biggest issue, is that we are used to not paying for online on the Nintendo side, but in a way, it also makes sense. The games are getting bigger, servers are getting bigger, so yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I I know I'm disappointed with the fact that the backups are going to be a little bit I guess there are going to be games missing,
Yes.
right? But at the same time, I'm like, well, right now there's no option, and I'd rather save some of my data than none of my
Right.
data. So I'm still waiting for the cloud saves before I send in my Switch, but I just hope it comes back with all of my Splatoon time.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah, so the last answer that Coconut had was I would love if players in game had a phone like player managers in Pocket Camp, and you could access a version of the Nintendo app in game via that phone. Voice chat, text chat, all in game. I would love
Ooh.
that. Brilliant.
Yes.
I personally do not like using the app. I'm one of the few who does because, it's mostly just a Splatoon 2 app right
Yes. Right.
now. But I don't like using it. It's slow, it's clunky, and if it just worked in game, amazing. I would much rather be able to see all the
Yes.
same stats in my game rather than take out my phone and be watching that for, in-depth insight in what I just did.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
It'd be great.
So next we have Emily with two E's, and her answers are, as for the first question, are you getting the service? She answers, I am getting it. I recently started playing Splatoon 2, and I'm enjoying it so much. I would like to keep playing with people as well as play Mario Kart and Animal Crossing when it arrives. That makes sense, and I forgot about Mario Kart. That's a big one to play online too.
Yeah, I know we're gonna. Oh shoot, we better have this soon. Maybe this weekend we should have our Mario Kart tournament thing. Just because it's gonna be very soon the last day that we can play for free,
That's true.
and I want as many people to have access to it as possible. So we'll try to plan that out. Somebody write that down somewhere. Remind me if I forget. But yeah, we need to have that Mario Kart tournament. It's going to be all Animal Crossing track.
Yes.
Which I don't know if people will get tired of it. I don't. I love that track. It's the best Animal Crossing
Right.
game we've gotten
Right.
in years. Uh, it's
It's the
such a
most
great
HD.
track. Yeah, so yeah, we'll have to remember that because pretty soon this isn't going to be free to play
True.
anymore.
Right.
So
Right. That makes
I
sense.
need, yeah, everybody, I want all of you to come and play.
So, Emily with two E's, her second answer is, I honestly don't mind paying for it. I mean, yeah, free online services are nice, but it's gonna be so much less than other consoles' online services. That's true. We mentioned, the price difference is it's very large, and we're still getting the bulk of the package. We're able to play online, which is really what it's all about, and we're getting free games as a bonus.
Yeah, I think for the price, I think most people are going to think it's fair after a while.
Right, right. And her third answer, which is which online features would you like to see in Animal Crossing? Emily Witui says, I would like them to continue their Dream Suite as well as continue having custom museum exhibits and being able to visit those too. Nintendo has been doing a lot of 8-player modes lately. I think it would be nice if Animal Crossing had that too. Maybe even be able to participate in town festivals together. That sounds amazing. There could be an option to accomplish events single player or multiplayer. I love that. Why not go against other players in fishing tourneys or work together to get ingredients for Thanksgiving? That would be so cool. I want all of this.
I'm geeking out over it too. So many great things. 8 players. I hadn't thought
Oh
about that
man,
either.
no.
But it would be awesome.
Right.
I can't deny that. It would just be so cool to be 8 player in Animal Crossing. And hopefully that would mean that your towns are huge.
Yes, yes.
I want to see a giant town. And 8 makes a lot of sense too, just because there are 8 different profiles on your Switch.
Yes.
It seems like 8 seems to be the number that Nintendo is essentially dealing with these days.
Yes.
And, online games, Splatoon, that's 8 players right there. That's 4 versus 4.
Yes.
Mario Kart, you can have, 12 racers?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so there are games that have tons and tons of people playing at the same time. So I think it would be totally great for that.
Right, right. Imagine 8 players in a town that is 4 times as big as it is in New Leaf. That sounds perfect.
Amazing. There'd be so much. And you know what? One quick note. I want to be able to see people on my map
Oh yes.
whenever
Oh
we're
my God,
playing.
yes.
Unless we're playing like hide and seek.
Right.
Like if there were like an official hide and seek mode, don't show up on the
Right.
map unless like you can see them within sight. Maybe
Ooh.
it acts like a little heat measure. Like as you
Yes.
get closer to somebody, they start blinking, and you're like, "Oh, they're over there. I better go get them." Yeah, side idea right there. So let's get to Jeslin's answer. Jeslin says, yeah, I'll get Switch Online. The price is pretty good. I don't know exactly what I'll use it for. If it makes sense to get it. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'd use it for, but I think I think for a lot of people, it'll be great to still be able to play online.
Right, right.
Her second answer is, it is inevitable for them to charge for a service like this. Yeah, I'd say it was definitely just a matter of time before Nintendo jumped onto that train and was,
Yes.
just started saying, you know what, we got to start charging for this.
Right.
So,
And
yeah, it's something they had to
yeah,
do.
and it based on how things went, it didn't make a lot of sense for them to do that with a Wii U. I don't think they had enough to provide at that time.
Yeah. And her last answer is, I'll have to think about online features for AC Switch. I'm sure people have basic online features in mind already. Yeah, so many great
Yes.
ideas from everybody today. I'm so. I feel like we're building the greatest Animal Crossing game of all time. And I'm afraid to, just because I don't want to be disappointed in what I see.
Right.
But it's Animal Crossing. Are we going to be disappointed? Probably not, unless it's Amiibo Festival. But even
Even then.
then, I had my fun with
Yeah.
Amiibo Festival. I just kind of wish that it had online so I could play with
Yes. Right.
people, because it's a cute game.
8-player online.
And I have to say that because I'm looking for 5 features right now to talk about this Friday. So we'll see what I come up with. Yeah. So finally, let's get into our last topic for tonight, and that is the upcoming Nintendo Direct. So last week we had a Direct get announced, and then the next day, early in the morning, it was delayed. And it was originally supposed to air last Thursday, but it was delayed to a huge earthquake in Hokkaido, Japan. So Japan, at this point, has had a series of crazy natural disasters. I'm glad personally, I'm glad that they've, delayed the show
Right.
just to show their respect for everyone affected by those disasters, because I don't know if you all have seen the images and everything, but there's been a lot of damage, and some people have died, some people are missing, and so one can only hope the best for those who are still out there, right?
Right.
So I think it was a good call for them to just hold off for
Yes,
now.
definitely.
And so also we're still waiting for word on the Direct. I think for me, I assumed that it would probably be about a week. So maybe this Thursday we will be seeing, the Direct and everything once things have calmed down a bit.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess my question here is, when do you think we'll have a Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, I was expecting it this week. Part of the reason why is because Splatoon 2 had an update that kind of matched with the date of the original Direct, and upon the delay, that update got delayed by a week. So a lot of us kind of jumped on the bandwagon and said, okay, so it's probably gonna get delayed by a week, and in a week's time makes sense. I don't know how the progress is in Japan, so maybe it might take a little longer, and also to that, and without getting too much into details just yet, we have had a lot of news about video games and different announcements and leaks that were very likely part of the direct. So I'm just wondering if maybe they might want to just hold off for a while longer and build up different announcements, or rework the video based on info that's already out. So it's tough to say. Or I'm still expecting something this week, but if we have to wait longer, it also makes sense, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, I kind of had that thought too. I imagine with some of the information that we've
Mhm.
gotten, for example, just today that Nintendo Switch Pikachu and Eevee edition was announced, and I feel like that could have been something that was in the direct for all we
Right.
know. And maybe they have to edit the video to reflect that news already being out
Right.
there. Um, and so that then again will have to go through its own process of, getting clearance for the audience. And
Mm.
I'm sure Nintendo has their videos go through a lot of hoops before they're ready to be out there,
Right. Right.
So I could see that slowing it down a bit. I'm still hoping that it's just a week, but I can't help but hope every morning when I wake up that Nintendo announces that, oh, it's happening later today or it's happening
Ooh.
tomorrow early in the
Right.
morning. And because I think it's going to be once again another quick turnaround time, but I
Yes.
have a feeling that it might be a quicker turnaround time, seeing as we all already know it's on the way. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Um, so here's a question for everybody who is listening in chat, as well as you and I, Sergio. How are you feeling going into this direct? And so, yeah, everybody can answer that question while Sergio answers. But the question, once again, how are you feeling going into this direct?
I'm really feeling it, like Shulk. But it's definitely true. We were waiting, and E3 happened, and we didn't get anything, and it was heartbreaking, very disappointing. We pulled through, and we're still here. It's time. It's been time forever. Every chance there is for an announcement, I think, it just makes perfect sense. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling something. I think they're gonna at least acknowledge and say something about it.
Yes, I am feeling similar. And I'm just like, I don't know. For some reason, I'm feeling pretty great about this direct. I don't know why, because I keep telling myself, don't get my hopes up, Chewie. It's going to break your heart again, Chewie. You're just going to be super sad again, Chewie. Come on. And so I just keep telling myself that, but I can't help it. I feel like I've got a hope for Animal Crossing to be shown. And Dragon in another Discord that that we're both in, he posted a Reset Era link where somebody made a pretty great point about the upcoming direct, and their point was that the announcement doesn't specify that they're going to talk about 2018
Yes.
games, be it fall 2018, winter 2018. It just said they're going to talk about upcoming Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Switch titles. It doesn't give us a year.
Yes.
And so that alone is so much more than what we've gotten all year. Where, at the beginning of the year, they're like, oh, we're going to talk about games coming in 2018. And later in the year, we're going to talk about games coming in spring of 2018. And then after that, they're like, oh, these are the games coming in 2018 at E3. And they're just like, they let us know that these announcements were going to be about 2018. But during E3, they did drop that news that they're like, this is only a
Yes.
fraction of what we're working on. There is more on the way. And I think this could be it. This could be the direct where we get to hear what more is on the way.
Right. It's
I,
time. We have been extra patient, maybe because they made us. So, throw us a bone, please.
Yeah, and one of the things that leaked, I won't say what the title is that leaked, just in case nobody wants to know, but the Yoshi game has had its
Yes.
title leaked through the Nintendo Switch website
Right.
itself. It was shortly after the Nintendo Direct would have
Hmm.
been. I think it was automatically updated, and so people caught on and saw that the title was out there, and we do know that that game was delayed to 2019.
Yes.
So there is at least one 2019 game going to make an appearance
Right.
here. And what else? What else are you keeping for 2019, Nintendo? We need to know that it's Animal
Yeah.
Crossing. Come
Right.
on.
Right.
And I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but I I'm so I don't know, I'm just feeling it now. Like I feel like it's been so long that we've been waiting for this and it has to be on the way. Like Nintendo would be crazy not to have an Animal Crossing game on the way.
Right.
So I hope it happens. I keep telling it's going to break my heart when it doesn't, but I hope it does. I just can't help
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah, so let's did you have anything else to say before I read some of everybody's answers here?
No, I think we're ready to read and let's see if they agree with our excitement.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's take a look. I'm kind of looking through and seeing. Ruby Crimson says, excited, but I still don't think we will get Animal Crossing. It's so sad. Coconut, no, say it ain't so, Ruby. Let's see. Coconut says, AC Switch is like Tinkerbell. We all need to believe in her for it to exist. It's true. We just have to believe. And if we believe hard enough, it should
Right,
happen,
right.
right?
It's out next week.
Yeah. Emily with two E's said, excited, doubtful, hopeful, nervous, a wide variety of emotions. I know how that is. I'm bouncing back and forth all the time. Right now, I'm excited just because we're doing the podcast. And of course, we're going to be excited about Animal Crossing while we're talking about Animal Crossing. That's just the way it is.
Right.
Jessica Lynn says, I'm feeling excited and I hope they're just going to announce something, but I keep feeling like I'm going to end up disappointed too. I'm just trying to keep the Animal Crossing faith. Fingers crossed. You mean fingers animal crossed. I always correct people. uh, yeah, so it's looking like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're all feeling similar about this. Like we want it, but we've been burned before.
Right.
And it could easily happen again.
Right. I was a little more optimistic before the delay. Now that it got delayed, I mean, I'm still hoping to hear something, but I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah. It's so hard to know. I I guess since E3, my thoughts on it kind of depleted big time, and I was like, you know what? I don't really see them announcing it till next year. And that could very well still be the case, considering, like, though Nintendo has been focused on 2018, those first two directs did give us two major titles, or at least two titles that we didn't know about, that were coming that year. The first being Mario Tennis Aces, which I just beat today, actually. I finally sat down and played through the story mode. Pretty short game. The next one was Super Smash Bros. So both those first two directs had Nintendo games, and even at E3. And yeah, even right before E3, there was Pokemon, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. Those were made official. And at E3, we got Super Mario Party. So there is a lot of time in the first half of 2019 for Nintendo to surprise us. Unfortunately, I don't think the way they went about things this year was good. I'd say there wasn't enough hype in each direct. I feel like it works better when Nintendo gives us a lot of really great things, and then the rest of the year we're just excited to know more about these really great things.
That's true.
So I don't want them to hold back, I don't want them to feel like they have to hold information for a while.
Right.
So that's all I'm hoping, that they ditch this formula that they had for 2018 and they go to something that is just there to create more excitement with fans.
Yes.
Yeah, so did you have anything else to say before we get into announcements about our anniversary next week? Our 1-year Haken anniversary.
Right. No, let's we're hopeful, and it's gonna be awesome if Animal Crossing news coincide with the anniversary of Haken. Let's just be very hopeful.
I would be beyond ecstatic. Yes. I'd be like, I didn't know a year ago I predicted this.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be amazing, but I'm already geeking out about it. This show has been so much fun to do. So yeah, just to get into the announcements. On September 18th, 2018, Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, will be 1 year old. That is its 1-year anniversary. And lucky enough, that is a Tuesday. So we will have an anniversary episode on the actual anniversary of the show. I don't know how it worked out like that. Maybe I put my podcast out on. Did I put it out on Tuesday or Friday? I don't remember. If somebody has time to look up what day September 18th, 2017 was, go for it. Then we'll know. So we are planning on taking a special look back at the year and everything that has happened in the world of Animal Crossing since I started the podcast. I won't say too much, but there have been some Animal Crossing things that have happened in the past year. So there should be a good amount of things to talk about, and a good amount of time to share our excitement and our disappointment for the last year. For all the listeners out there, please, 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 I want you to share a comment on YouTube, send us a tweet, message us on Discord, wherever you can find us. Please just send us a little message to be featured on the podcast. This message can be to us about the show, it can be about Animal Crossing, or it could be about what you want to see in the future of the podcast. Whatever your message is, I'm excited to read what everybody has to say. I just want all of you to participate because this is a big thing. I didn't think I was going to start a podcast the first time I searched Animal Crossing podcast. And then at the time I just ran a Google search. I said, you know what? I like podcasts. I wonder if there's one for Animal Crossing. And so I looked it up, and then I saw some not Animal Crossing podcasts. There was one that used to hold the #1 position for a long time. A lot of us, now there are a few Animal Crossing podcasts. I haven't talked about some of the other ones that have popped up yet, but I think I will at some point because I do want to talk to some of them and, probably invite them on this show and talk about their experiences too. But when I ran the search, there was something called an Animal Crossing podcast that had nothing to do with the game. And there was another one that seemed to have been deleted. And so at that point, I was like, well, I don't have anything to listen to. I guess I'll make one. And I'll be able to talk about Animal Crossing. So that's how the beginning came about. Just a little sneak peek into our 1-year anniversary show. But I'm so excited, and it's been great. I didn't think I was going to have this many people to talk about Animal Crossing with, and especially week after week when there's nothing going on in the world of Animal Crossing. But still, us loyal fans are here, and yeah, it's been so awesome. So yeah, did you have anything you want to say about just the whole show, what's been going on, our 1-year anniversary?
Right. It's been an honor. It's awesome, being part of Haken. It's awesome that it's 1 year old, and just definitely look forward to an awesome, great episode, a special episode. I just also wanted to give a quick shout out to anybody that listened to us live. There was a really good group of people, and as far as I can tell, most of them were here for the entire episode. So Ruby, Jessica, Emily, Digicho, and Coconut, thank you. I know Jesslyn was here also, but she had to leave. So anybody that listened live, partially or fully, thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry, I got really distracted. A bug flew by my face. But yeah, sorry to interrupt that. But yes, everybody who listened, so happy to have people come on and join us in the show. And, I really appreciate whenever I do a little call out for these, questions we want to go over live that, people are giving us answers, and everybody has had so many great things to say, and the community has been so nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been so great. I can't wait to have another year, especially another year with Animal Crossing. Because it's got to happen. This has to be the year, everybody. Otherwise, we'll just go another year without Animal Crossing. And we'll just figure out what to say at that point.
Right.
All right. So thank you all so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, join the Discord. You can have your comments like this featured on live shows, as well as listen to these live shows live. So yeah, instead of catching the recording on Tuesdays, we'll try to make the times more convenient. I was traveling this weekend, so this was the best time we can do it. I know a lot of you are in Europe, other parts of the world, and are still up in the middle of the night. That's insane. Thank you for being around. But yeah, if you don't have to be a patron to join. It's totally free. We just want you to be our friend. That's all we ask. And to prove that, you can get Sergio and my friend codes on here. Right. So join. It'd be cool. If you do want to become a patron and support our show, please visit patreon.com/ChewiePlaysNintendo. For just $1, you can support us. We try to give you tons of cool things. I give people early access to my weekly updates, which are behind at this point because I was out of town, but I'll be recording a lot tomorrow.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and Sergio has some cool things in the works. I know we share some KK songs that are, KK covers of popular music.
Yes.
Sergio, you have a way to do that. And at some point for the patrons, I think you want to take requests,
yes, definitely.
right? Yeah, so we're trying to make it really worth it for you to support us because we appreciate it. We love that you all are so excited about this show. And yeah, if you are watching or listening on YouTube, and if you want to find us anywhere, check out those descriptions in YouTube too, because we have links to all sorts of places where you can reach out and you can leave your thoughts on the show. Just like I said, leave your message to us that will be featured in the 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
And please, please, please leave a review of the show wherever you're listening. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows the community to grow and more of us Animal Crossing fanatics to get together and play some Animal Crossing. And once again, thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.